This morning, Calmac got his hand on a pre-season trophy, and it's a trophy that will sit in the trophy room all the less, and it's a fantastic start to the season because it's always good, and it must be a good feeling for Callum McGregor just to get that trophy. And it sets the tone for the season, doesn't it? It lets everyone out there know that we're back into pre-season, we're looking forward to the new season, and we're looking forward to new players. But there was one player last night that I think may have just changed a lot of Celtic fans' minds. A lot of Celtic fans were bemoaning the fact that Inamura only cost 250 grand. But I tell you one thing, it could possibly be the best 250 grand Celtic have spent in a long time, because he almost played the left back position just as well as Greg Taylor. And I'm going to say that. He did impress that much last night. Did he change your mind? In fact, there's a poll for this morning. He is, well, yeah, he's going to get our fans to eat humble pie. Poll. Now we'll go straight in with an early one. Did Inamura change your mind about him? The way that he played last night? I think that he's... Brendan Rodgers did speak about him after the game, and even though we all thought he was fantastic, he did stand out, and it now appears unlikely that he will be sent out on loan. He's definitely given Brendan Rodgers to think about, and the 23-year-old was Brendan Rodgers said he's not part of the team, he's not going to be part of the squad. And Inamura's obviously went, hold on a minute, in Japanese. Wait a minute till you see me play. And Brendan Rodgers said, in training, the guy looks like he's a bit of a player. Right from kick-off, he looked right up for it. There was a couple of times he passed backwards when you're thinking, there's a little bit of space there, you could have moved forward, but I'm sure that will come with time. Brendan Rodgers says that he didn't look scared to take the ball. He demanded it. There was one time that he was on the wing and he was standing with his arms out like this, and he's like, I'm free, I'm in free space. And I think that would have caught the eye of Brendan, because you never seen Greg Taylor shouting and demanding the ball. That's what you want from Celtic players. That's what we've been talking about, the the type of Celtic player that you want. And I tell you one thing, Inamura's definitely give a lot of fans that watch the game, they're going to be going, what do I know about football? Brendan Rodgers was asked if there was a change of heart, and he went on to say 100%. I'm not fixed on it. I think the feeling from us was that he'd done okay. We'll bring him in, we'll see how he does pre-season, thinking that he may need to go out on loan and play. You always judge players in pre-season and see how they look and what they're capable of doing. He's certainly shown in the last few days of training, said Brendan Rodgers. He's smooth with the ball and he plays forward. When you play at Celtic, you have to be able to pass the ball forward. His passing range was brilliant. His cross, that cross that he put in front into the box, you're waiting for Kyogo or somebody to smash that into the back of the net, but obviously they're gone. That'll come with time. Brendan Rodgers then went on to say, I have to say, he surprised me. He surprised me with how'd you say hold on a minute in Japanese? Maybe not as it would probably be more polite than that, wouldn't it? Anyway, he says you've got to take the personality, you've got to take the ball, you've got to play with it. He did that. And he surprised me. We knew he was going to come in, and maybe felt that he was going to take a bit more for him to settle in. He needs to bulk up a bit. He needs to go into the gym and bulk up a bit for European football, but that's the Japanese players. They go through the university system until they're 23, 24, and he maybe needs to adapt a bit. But I'm sure if you just get him on the chicken and boiled rice and get him into the gym pumping iron after every training session, we could have a player on our hands. We could have a player, and I don't mean a player that's going to take over from Kieran Tierney straight away, But as a backup player to Kieran Tierney, and I know he's a left centre back, but he played the left back position absolutely sublimely. And I actually think that he played it better than Greg Taylor. Just putting it out there. Brendan Rodgers said he'll need to develop physically. That's naturally when you come into European football. His comfort on the ball and his willingness to attack is really good. Like, it's only a pre-season game against Cork City, and you've got to take that into consideration. But Brendan Rodgers says we're going to look at him over the remaining games, and if he does it against the teams that we're coming up against, if he doesn't shy away, he's definitely... Because Celtic have still been looking for a left back to bring in cover for Kieran Tierney. But what if we've just unearthed another gem for 250 grand? I mean, the comments when the guy signed, and the comments for a lot of people online were like, oh, fucking 250 grand, he's pish. Ah! Here's my water, he said. Drink it. Anyway, let's see how the poll is doing this morning, because the poll question is, has he changed your mind? 90% say no. Tell me why he's not changed your mind. Don't you diss Greg Taylor? Or me and you have words. I'm not dissing Greg Taylor. I think that he has the potential to be better than Greg Taylor. Do you think that Taylor will be missed? I'm telling you, this guy's going to make you change your mind, Chilpil. I seriously, for what I've seen to him, there's once a season that you see something, and I've spoke about this before yesterday, and there's always one player that you see glimpses of in pre-season and you go, that's the one. And that happened last night. What we've seen in Inamura was, there's the one that's going to be most improved this season. There's the one that's going to prove everyone wrong. There's the one that everyone's going to be raving about come the end of the season. And I'm just putting that out there. Mark this down. Mark it down. We'll put this into the library for the 2025-26 pre-season. The fact that Hiteo's team were fuming when they sold says, in my opinion, it must have something about him. Michelle, morning to you. Chill's talking pish. Anyway, in other Celtic news, there's a player that I thought may try and get a breakthrough into Celtic. Now, Celtic have got a big decision to make, because they need to give him an extension of his loan deal. Because if they put him out on loan to Ayr United, and we've been waiting on this, we have been waiting on to see what players that Celtic would send off to Scott Brown. 19-year-old Jude Bonner. Yes, 19-year-old Jude Bonner is the one that's likely to go to Ayr United. It's been suggested. Now, his contract runs out next summer. So Celtic will have to sit down with the player and discuss whether they're going to give him because if it gets to Christmas time, if it does get to this Christmas, if it gets to this transfer window, the next transfer window, we all know what will happen. Celtic will lose a fantastic player. So Celtic will need to get the player signed up on a new deal before they put him out on loan. He's a player that Brendan said at the time when he came into the team last season, he said he's been doing really well. He's been in the gym. He's been doing all the right things. You know, he's doing what we're asking him. Celtic, do the right thing. Get him on an extended 3-year deal. Get him out on loan. Get him playing with Scott Brown. Get Scott Brown doing what Scott Brown can do with players. You know, get Scott Brown moulding him into a younger version of Bruni, and then bring him back and bring Scott Brown back with you. So it'll be interesting to see if that one does go through. Jude Bonner hasn't played, and maybe it's the case already that Celtic already know, look, he's not going to sign a new deal. I hope it's not the case. Because I think that Jude Bonner is one of those players that could be fantastic for Celtic in the coming years. Tactically and physically, he's improved, Brendan Rodgers said at the time. And I think that what we've seen of him last season at Celtic, it would be a massive loss a massive loss. Bonner looks excellent. He does that. But we do need to make sure that he's signed up on a long-term contract, because I don't want him going out on loan and then agents turn his head. Do you know? And it's happened far too much. This is where Sean Maloney steps in. This is where Sean Maloney's got to make his money. Then this is what Sean Maloney was brought into the club for, to be pathway manager. Now, him and Bruni, they'll have a fantastic working relationship. We need Maloney to earn his money this week. In the next couple of weeks, if he's going to go out on loan the next couple of weeks, Sean Maloney needs to earn his cash and get this young boy signed up on a new deal, along with Tisdale. But another transfer, well, the sad news last night, obviously, for Steven Welsh. I think that Steven Welsh has kicked his last ball for Celtic, personally. Steven Welsh, Brendan Rodgers said, will need to consider surgery. After injuring his shoulder for a fourth time in Celtic's 2-1 win over Cork City last night, Steven Welsh was the captain the second half of the club. Brendan Rodgers does, it's got to be said, Brendan Rodgers does like Steven Welsh as a player. But the face said it all. The face said it all last night. And when it's not that picture, let me just get the picture of Steven Welsh up. When cancel, don't want to browser. Delete that, that's the wrong one. The image of Brendan Rodgers' face when he went off last night was unbelievable. I mean, a picture tells 1,000 words. I mean, you see him looking at John Kennedy, and you see the disappointment on Brendan Rodgers' face, and John Kennedy's just sitting there going, he's fucked it again, man. He's fucked it again, basically. And Welsh knows. And I think that was the part that was more upsetting for Welsh, because he knows that there could have been a possibility of him getting a transfer away from Celtic this summer. And it's devastating for the player himself on a personal level. And let's take away, I don't want to get in the fact that he's not good enough for Celtic. You've got this is a young lad who just wants to play football. Stop being so hard on him. He's a player that, he's put his all into trying to improve and trying to play for Celtic, and he's living the dream as far as he's concerned. And he just wants to go out there and play football. It's devastating for him that he's more than likely going to have to go and have an operation now. That will keep him out to the best part of, I would maybe say, October, November. And then he's got to get back and get fit. And all it's done is it's just dragged down the valuation of Welshie. And I hope it doesn't hit him too hard. I hope it doesn't hit him too hard as a player. Who signed Welsh in the first place? He came through the young team, Michelle. Give him a break. He's been at Celtic since he was a kid. I'm not taking. It's like, give him a break. We go on about younger players not getting the opportunity at Celtic. Younger players not making it into the first team, it's the same. It's the same with Mikey Johnson. It's the same with other players that have came through, and Celtic fans have chased them out the door. Just give the guy a bit of sympathy. I mean, if you go into your work and you're needing an operation and you can't do your work, your boss isn't going to go around, you're fucking shite anyway, who fucking hired you? Do you know what I mean? Your work colleagues, they're going to be a bit sympathetic. Honestly, be a bit more sympathetic. The boy's he's got an injury and he's going to be out of work. You're fucking, honest to God, you're so harsh. You're so harsh. Let him go for a free in January. Michelle, you're harsh this morning. Who signed him in the first place? Anyway, I feel for Steven Welsh, and let's just hope that he can go on. But 18-year-old Colby Donovan who was substituted, came back on, and he scored with a header. And I've got to say, it was fantastic for him. There was a lot of positives to take for the game last night. Luke McCowan growing into the game, scoring a cracking goal. When you look at some of the other players that came through, there is a lot of positives to take from it. But the fact is that Celtic will go out and spend money between now and the start of the season. And I think that Celtic could still bring 5 players into the club. We've just let go Gustav Lagerbielke. We've just let go Mark Narowski. Steven Welsh is now out. That's 3 defenders. The cry's no defenders. Well, our cry's definitely no defenders, which leaves really the bare bones of a team. It does leave the bare bones of a team when it comes to defence. So as much as Celtic will go out and spend money on defenders, they're also going to go out and bring in a couple of attackers, because last night there was a young player who has come to Celtic to improve in the first team, and he's a striker. And I've got to say, young Callum Osmond, if I'm Adam Ida, you're not worrying about Callum Osmond taking your place out the team. That's a certainty. If you're Johnny Kenny, you may be. I think that the reality is that Callum Osmond may be third choice at best this coming season. I've got a funny feeling that Johnny Kenny, Celtic might actually let him go. If a club does come back in and get the £1 million valuation, for what I've seen of Johnny Kenny, if you're Adam Ida, you're not worrying about him either. I mean, he's got good fate, good positioning. Maybe when the first team players all come back at the weekend game, we might see Johnny Kenny putting in some cracking goals. I thought with the one from the Inamura passed in, if Adam Ida's on the pitch there, he's sliding in and putting that in the back of the net. If there's any other players in there, they're maybe going to do it. Johnny Kenny was maybe a little bit out of position. What about the formation change? Something that we haven't spoke about. There was at times last night that Celtic were playing 4-4-2. Give Osmond time. You cannot seriously say that Osmond is going to make a massive impact. I just haven't seen it. I don't see him being able to be a first choice striker. He's a player that's a couple of years away, and Brendan Rodgers knows that if he's came through the youth team, Osmond at Celtic, everyone's saying the same old thing, Baz, trying to explain cheap options. We'll know all about it in a month's time. It's the Celtic way. But if we're going to go out and bring in strikers, it pushes Osmond down. You've got to look at what Celtic are actually doing. And if he was to be third choice striker, why are we then looking for new strikers? Why are we bringing in Jens Shimada for Japan? We've already got Dyson Maeda at Celtic as possibly our number one striker. You've then got Adam Ida as well. If we're bringing in a third striker, that pushes Osmond down. I'm just talking reality. So I'm saying give him time. It's the reality of what's actually going on at Celtic. So anyway, got a ticket from one of my green friends, Panathinaikos. Anyway, the vote this morning is, did Inamura change your mind about him? Tell me why not in the comments, because there's 27% said nah, they've not changed their mind. He's not going to be Celtic class. Yamada will be here next week. He finishes the AOL Championship for Japan. Yep, there's already a scene. Kaiser sent me something last night that he's already said goodbye to his team. It was in Japanese, so he has already said goodbye to his team, which it looks like another good bit of business by Celtic. Another good part of business by Celtic. The Rapid Vienna situation is ongoing. Celtic are in the mix for that. The Giuseppe Ambrosini, they've had formal offers. Celtic have shown interest. That's an interesting one to watch as well. Will Brendan Rodgers get players in? The travel straight over to Portugal from Ireland. They're not coming back to Glasgow. Peter Grant let that slip last night that they were travelling straight to Portugal. So it'll be interesting. Come on, Baz, don't be so quick to judge. At least give them a few games. I'm just going on what you see is happening, Gigi. You've got to be realistic on what's actually happening at Celtic. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just putting that Callum Osmond in the pecking order at Celtic. If Celtic were pleased the way that the business was being done, they wouldn't be going out to bring in another striker. So it's either that or it's the worst case scenario. They're expecting a bid for Dyson Maida to come in, and the striker that we're actually bringing in is a replacement for Dyson Maida, and Callum Osmond will still be the third choice striker. Whatever's going on in the background in Celtic, it's a case of there's going to be a lot of fluid movement in the next couple of weeks. I'm glad we all know that. Maida ain't leaving. Hail Hail Baz was at the game last night. Hatato, Uri and Frame. Just a kickabout. Great evening, by the way. Yeah, it looked a great evening. It always is with these pre-season friendlies. It's just I see that the songbook was out by a couple of fans. It's just a pre-season friendly, isn't it? It's just a game to take you and Ireland get. I mean, the pitch invasion was hilarious. The pitch invasion at the end of the game. Inamura looks a player. Baz also, let's see, after a few more games under his belt. Yes, Inamura. I've been saying that. I think that he is the one. He's the one that will get us all talking this season. Just putting it out there. If Celtic can get away with spending money, put it this way, right? If Celtic can get away with spending 2 or 3 million on a backup to Kieran Tierney, they'll do it all day long. Inamura fits the bill. It gives him time to get into the gym and physically build himself up. He's going to get a little bit of game time at Celtic, and he looks as if he can play. He can definitely play. We'll just need to wait and see what Brendan Rodgers says. Let's get this vote up to 100 votes. This morning, let's see if there's any. Brendan Rodgers singles out aggressive youngster who could force his way into the young team. There's quite a few that can force their way into the young team and into the first team. Coleman Donovan is obviously one, and I think it's also going to be a big season for a certain defender at the back. Anthony Joseph, what's he saying? That's nothing. So if any Celtic signings are to be made this week, they will be heading straight to Portugal. You're not going to see them signing at Celtic Park. Matt O'Reilly looks as if he is on his way to Roma, which is an interesting one for him, which means that Celtic will get in even more money. Now Celtic are currently sitting with 22 million to the 22 million in profit this transfer window. I did put that up last night. I should put it up this morning again just to wind everyone up and just to show how good Celtic's pre-season has been so far. The profitability at the club is through the roof once again. There's what we're sitting in profit. Players that we've got in so far: Kieran Tierney, Ross, young Osmond, Benji. It's wrong. It's 1.7, wasn't it? I need to change that. And then the money in: Frimpong 5.5 million, Kuhn 16.5, Lagerbelke 2 million, which puts us sitting at 22 million. As you sit and have your breakfast this morning, the Celtic power brokers are going, getting the. Do you think that they sit in the boardroom and they sit? Nah, they're Tories, aren't they? They'll be counting the coffer. It was like counting the beans. But I'd love to see a picture of them. Could you imagine if Snoop Dogg come into the club and he's sitting with his guns firing at the cash? the notes flying into the air. That's what I want to see. I want to see Snoop Dogg with his burger, with his burger bar in Celtic, sitting in Celtic boardroom, firing the gun with the cash on it. Just say we're in the money. Anyway, best bank in Scotland. Doug Sharp says I was at the game last night. Sat close to Jude Bonner's family. It was easy to tell they're a big Celtic family. I think his preference would be staying with us. Certainly hope so. That's an interesting one, Dougie, because the noise coming out this morning is that Jude Bonner may be going to Scott Brown's team. So let's hope that Celtic do the right thing and get him signed up on a minimum 3-year contract. 3-year contract and send him out on loan to Scott Brown. Because I think that he is the type of player that Scott Brown can just turn into a fantastic version of him, younger version of him. Larkwinder's sitting in Cork Airport right now. Oof, I miss those days. And there's not really been a pre-season game that I thought, yeah, that's jumping out at me this year. I don't fancy Ajax in Italy. That's going to be mental, that game. And then it'll be Celtic will have a second game to play in Italy. Obviously, that will be decided on whether they beat Ajax or not. I'm beginning to have my doubts about Kenny, says James. I'm glad someone else said it. Because I've been over the last 2 games. I'll reserve judgment until the Newcastle game with Johnny Kenny, and then that's when we'll know. Once all the first team are back, and he's getting some good service in and around the box, you'll be able to see then. Not watched any other pre-season games. How was Ben Summers done? He's done okay. It's one of those ones you don't know if he's going to make it at Celtic or not, but that's up to the board to make. That's up to Brendan Rodgers. But Brendan Rodgers, the one thing that he was more than excited about last night was the left back. Oh my God. Brendan Rodgers, fuck. And Postecoglou has held formal talks with Brentford. Wow. Brentford. Anyway, Brentford. Christopher Ayer was at a wedding in the last couple of days. He was at Ryan Christie's wedding. It was like a Celtic reunion. His contract was running down. He had it extended under Ange, if I remember. Right, anyway, that's me. That's me done and dusted this morning. Let's finish off that poll. 87 votes. Did Inamura change your mind about him last night? 77% say yes, they did. 23% say nah. They didn't. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are. All around the world. Yeah, I know. There's nothing been concrete for the Saudi League thing. There's nothing been solid. There's not been a solid thing come from the Saudi thing. I think it was just talk. The fact that it has had negotiations. Do we get a sell-on fee for Big Ange? No, we don't. Jesus, if only, yeah. If only. Anyway, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.